Hey there, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be going over my quarter 3 goals for 2021. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So over the second quarter, I really ended up not following the stuff that I had ended up laying out for myself because once April rolled around, I was really just trying to focus on finishing off the school year, and I wasn't really thinking about um, trying to stick to the goals that I had set for myself. I really just wanted to reach the end of the school year and then just spend some time relaxing a little bit before jumping back into things. That's also why I ended up taking a break from YouTube, as well as pretty much everything else that was extra that I was doing outside of my classes. Now that it is July, I've had a really good month this past June and decided let's reset and figure out exactly what I want to get done over the next 3-month period of this year. I'm also going to be breaking these down into like 5 or 6 different categories. And then from there, I will have some specific notes on that in particular as well. So hopefully the stuff that I say here will have some use for you guys, maybe give you some ideas as to what you guys can be readjusting for the rest of the year. And yeah, so my first area of interest for the next quarter would be organization. In particular, I want to make sure I'm utilizing my Google Calendar once more. I really took a break from scheduling out all the blocks of times that I had. Really at the start of the year, I haven't done this consistently for a couple months at this point, and typically what I've done this past year so far is once things get pretty hectic, I will try to schedule things out for a few days and then I'll stop using my Google Calendar again. So for now, what I would like to do is take a moment or take a few moments during the week and just put in information about exactly what events, what hangouts, what exactly are the big things that I'm doing during the week, and when are those things going to be taking place. I'm not going to be holding myself accountable to like every second of the day. I've done that before, and typically that is very helpful in high stress situations, but trying to live life like that prolonged is just really stressful to me. So that's just something that I will typically be doing to show some of the big ticket items or big things that are going on that I have to make sure to get done in a given day. The next thing is to also make sure my room doesn't get too cluttered. I notice during the week a lot of the time I'll end up leaving things in random spots and things will end up being a lot more chaotic as the week progresses. So I do want to take some more moments during the day just to make sure my area is clear so that it's a little bit easier just to get my work done. Next, I really want to finally create a clear nighttime routine for myself. I've noticed over the years that my morning routine has become pretty clear, and it's very rare for those things to change as of now. But my nights typically consist of me like just doing whatever I feel like doing in that given moment, and sometimes that can result in me staying up much later than I intended to. So I feel like that's something that I still need to address moving forward. The next area that I'll be looking into is my health. So for this in particular, it's just some stuff that I've partially been putting off, as well as some new goals that I have in mind for this as well. So the first thing is just like making sure I go visit like different primary care physicians and like all the different doctors that I have to see at some point in the near future, just because I feel like I haven't really done that in a while. So it's something that I do need to follow up on. And yeah, the next part of that would be specifically goals that I have for my future for like my physical health. So in particular, I want to consistently be rock climbing over the next few months and hopefully try to move up a level or two in terms of the difficulty of the bouldering circuits that I'm doing. That's one big thing that I want to do, especially before, I would say, by the end of August, because I don't really know where I'm going to be in September, whether or not I'm going to be doing rock climbing while I'm at school. It really depends on my time at that point. But at the very least, over the next 2 months, I do want to be able to move up at least one level on that and just consistently be rock climbing as well. Beyond that, I also want to try my hand at running more consistently. This has always been a challenge of mine just because I do have asthma. So I would like to try to come back to where I was, at least back in closer to where I was in high school, where I could at least be able to run for a few minutes without being completely out of breath. And that's partially just going to be consistently running on like just about every single day. And with that, I also do want to go on walks every day. So those are like my main fitness goals at the moment. And then in terms of what I'm eating, I do want to continue to be intermittent fasting over the course of the next few months. I just think that it's been a great it's just been an obvious way for me to eat my food. Like there hasn't really been a reason for me to eat outside of that specific 8-hour time block that I typically have for myself, unless it's like a situation where I'm visiting someone else, or and that just doesn't really happen all that often. I'll typically schedule times to meet up with people during that 8-hour block if we're going to be eating food anyway. So I do think this is something that I can continue to keep going and have as a habit moving forward. The final thing on this would also be that I want to try my hand at tracking when and what I'm eating. So specifically for intermittent fasting, I do want to make a note of when my first meal is and when my last meal is. And then on top of that, I do want to try and see what food tracking actually does for me, if it would be useful at all. At the very least, I'm going to try it out for a couple of weeks and see if it's something that I'd like to do moving forward. I'm very curious to know if that'll just help me be a little bit more mindful of the stuff that I'm eating, and if that'll have a positive impact or not. So yeah, that's more something that I'm just curious about. Whether or not it continues on for the next 3 months, I'll just have to wait and see. My next goal would be relating to socializing or social stuff. And in particular, I would like to make sure that I'm taking the time a couple times per week to really hang out with people, whether that be friends or family. And that's mainly just like to create more consistent plans with other people. And this is because, especially over the course of 2020, I noticed that I rarely hung out with people, whether or not they're like friends that I'm not seeing that often, which that was a little bit more understandable, or if it was just being at home and making time to like do stuff with my family at like maybe the end of the week or stuff like that. So that's something else that I would like to do a little bit more, especially over the summer. And again, September might end up having some readjustments on this because I will be back on campus. But yeah, it'll really depend on that as well. My fourth goal for this quarter is relating to content creation. So I guess this will pretty much be directly impacting y'all. If you guys really want to see more from me, my goal is going to be to post every single week 2 to 3 times. And in particular, I do have a general layout of what things are going to look like during the week, but it's still something that I am ironing out the details on. And yeah, so in particular for YouTube, that's 2 to 3 times per week. But I also do want to start to post more on other things as well. So that includes TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is specifically for like more professional projects and stuff like that. So things relating to a lot of the learning stuff that I'm going to be talking about next, just general projects and things that I'm learning about and I'm curious about. That's going to be related to what I'm talking about on LinkedIn. In terms of TikTok, that's probably going to be a lot of mini things relating to shows that I'm watching. So if you've been watching any of my Loki videos here, I've also done a couple of videos on TikTok about like some smaller ideas and thoughts that I have. And it's a little bit quicker to get out than editing those videos because it takes a couple hours to do that. And finally for Instagram, and this is also going to relate to TikTok as well, but I have been posting like climbing videos as well on there. So yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing there, but I would like to see if there's any other types of content or information that I'd like to post on there. That's mainly going to be dependent on if I find anything interesting to do on there. I'm not too sure at this moment, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. As I mentioned a second ago, the next topic is learning. So partially this does have to do with what I'm going to be posting on LinkedIn. I might make some YouTube videos depending on this stuff as well, but the areas here are primarily stuff that I want to learn more about, hence why it's called learning. And in particular, I'm doing stuff in this area mainly mainly relating to my field of interest, which is computer engineering. So one big project that I'm trying to put together is to see if I can find a way to either design a computer, or at the very least to make clear designs of like different aspects of what a computer would be. So in particular, right now, my idea for at least in the next few months is going to be working on a processor design that I've actually done this before, where I've designed a processor for a course, but I'd like to see if I could design that and also design the hardware for it and have an actual physical product, and then move forward to see if I can branch off into other aspects of a computer system. So that's one really long-term project that I'm starting right now. So I'm very excited to start working on that this quarter. I am also trying to take a few moments to read a little bit more about some of the books that I had earlier on in my college journey. So, some things about general electrical analysis, digital design, and on top of that, I'm trying to review some books about some of the courses that I've taken over this past year. In particular, I want to read more about computer networking because I feel like I could have learned a lot more from the course that I took. And so I'm trying to just reread the textbook on that as well. So those are some things that I'm specifically like trying to read about over the next quarter. And yeah, I also have three other areas that are going to be mainly like project slash learning based. So the first thing is going to be 3D printing. I recently purchased a 3D printer and I really want to dig a little bit deeper to see if I can make some cool robot chassis, as well as potentially some artwork from there as well. But it's going to be a lot of like fun to learn more about that area and like where I can go for resources and what I can learn from there as well. And just DIY related stuff relating to that as well might be something to look into. Another aspect of that would also be learning more about databases, in particular using SQL, and trying to learn more about like transferring information over networks and stuff like that. That's something that I'm really interested in learning more about, just because it's just something that I've thought about recently, and it's not something that I've learned about in classes. The third thing here is also trying to spend some time learning more about app development. This has always been something that I've wanted to learn more about, but again, my classes have just not focused on this thing. So definitely something that I want to learn more about over this summer. The last thing in learning would be to read a lot more. I've read a lot more since the start of the summer, and I do want to potentially read about like 10 or so books over the next 3 months. So the final area that I wanted to talk about for my goals would be things that are more creative. Of course, content creation, that whole stuff is pretty creative, but I just wanted to keep that separate from this, just so I could be a little bit more specific here. So in particular with this, I'm talking about creating more artwork as well as music. And for artwork, I just want to create I want to create a couple more pieces that are like final pieces that I could say like put up around my house or around my room or whatever, that just look nice and I really am proud of, because I haven't really done like a big project in art in a long time, and I think it would be a lot of fun. On top of that, I also want to spend some time and spend a lot more time, in particular in my sketchbook, and just learn and study a little bit more about different different things, like different like miniature studies of different objects, stuff like that. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So that's another thing for this quarter. Next, this relates to music, and that would be to create 4 or so drum covers, and also to at least try and create a couple of original pieces of music. I think this would be a lot of fun, and I would really like to see what that entails, because I've never really tried my hand in creating a full musical ensemble or a musical piece before, and I think it would be a really cool experience. The last aspect of this relates particular to different instruments, and that would be to just spend some more time studying different drum rudiments, and then on top of that to delve a little bit deeper into my viola again, and potentially also start practicing and learning a little bit about the piano once more. I've always had multiple instruments in my room, and as of late, over the past few years, I've really just been drumming sporadically, and I would like to bring it back to a consistent pace where I'm doing that consistently, and also trying to delve a little bit deeper on some of the instruments that I have played at one point or another and then just dropped off after a long time. So yeah, that's really all I have to say for this video. I do have a ton of different goals for the next quarter. I really hope I can make a lot of progress in these areas, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to see where I end up in a couple months. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Specifically, are you guys planning on having any goals for the rest of the year? If so, what are they, and what are you excited about for the rest of the summer? Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Subscribe for more videos from me, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.